Hi everyone, it's Mark from 3D Avenue. Today I have Daniel Eaton with me, Director of Pivotal Point Group, and we're going to discuss how he increased values of sales by 11% using 3D visualizations. Dan, could you please briefly introduce yourself and your business?
Certainly can. Thank you very much for having me here this morning, Mark. It's great to be here chatting to you, particularly about the 3D visualizations and that specific example. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, so my name's Dan Eaton. I'm a property investor and developer based in Gloucestershire. Ultimately, we specialise in converting the unwanted commercial buildings that we see around and then converting them into much needed residential accommodation. Some of that we sell, some of that we keep hold of for some passive rental incomes. Some we use as serviced accommodation, so sort of holiday lets, and some we keep as HMOs, so houses of multiple occupation. So in a nutshell, we take old dilapidated buildings and then bring them back to life for the residential sector. If you had to sum it up in a quick sentence, that's what we do.
Yeah, that sounds great. So who are your clients and how long you've been doing it for?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we started in property in 2017. Basically went along to some events and understood this sort of the property market that was hidden to us from an outside perspective. And we got involved with serviced accommodation, which is the sort of furnished holiday let side of things. We've still got that business today. But that led into other things. It led into other opportunities. It led us to network and meet different people. And then we started getting involved in more of the development side. So we got involved in some housing developments and then ultimately into the sort of commercial conversion / new build spaces. So that's where our journey started. And in terms of who our clients are for this, we generally work with investors. We generally work with landowners. We work with consortiums of lenders, those type of investors for our projects, and then we will then create something for our end users. Now, if it's in our service accommodation business, we'll create something for that market, and that might be the difference between sort of contractors or leisure guests. So we'll create something different depending on that market. If it's in our developments, we generally focus on the first-time buyer market, helping people get onto the property ladder, and also the investors for their rental side markets. So that tends to be where we focus our efforts in the commercial and development spaces. We have done some bigger developments. We've done some big luxury houses as part of a consortium. That worked really, really well. So that was quite a nice project of 6 sort of executive houses. But I do prefer the smaller, help people get onto the property ladder type properties. So those are our sort of ideal clients, really. Anything from landowners, building owners, investors, all the way through to end users, first-time buyers and investors for buy-to-let. So yeah, that's pretty much it, Mark.
Yeah, that's a wide range of to consider. But what makes you unique in your approach?
Oh, good question. What makes us unique? I think I don't think. Well, does it make us unique? I'm not entirely sure. I think there are other people out there doing it. I think that what makes us unique in some ways is the sort of passion that we have for doing it. We want to make sure that we do things that we want to live in ourselves, and we want to do things that provide quality accommodation. Because there are quite a few people out there who don't want to do that. They want to just maximize profits, whereas we like to get a nice balance between the profitability and the usability of our scheme. So I think that's probably what makes us a little bit unique. And we also tend to find as well in the area that we are in terms of size of development. So we look at things from anything that can get sort of 5 flats in, and we won't do anything that's smaller than that, up to maybe 20 or 25, something in those. Our sweet spot seems to be around the 12 to 15 units at the moment, and there aren't actually that many people who play in that space. It's a little bit bigger than sort of smaller builders would look at, and it's too small for the sort of big house builders. So we sort of sit in that little niche in the middle there, which I also think helps. So providing quality, something that we'd be happy to do. We've got some really good specifications of our units, and in an area that no one else is playing with. I think that's where we're a bit unique.
So you found your niche in the middle.
Exactly, yeah, in the middle, yeah.
What projects that you've done you consider your best or flag project?
Oh, okay, like a flagship project, right?
Yeah.
So I think in terms of, if we were to go back and look at the grandest, the nicest, the biggest, the 6-house development we did with my business partners on a consortium, that was really, really good for a flagship project. 6 new builds, executive homes. It was like a £4.5 million GDV. So that, it was a really good flagship project. Although I think actually at the moment, I'd say is the one that we've just got over the line. So just managed to buy. So we now own it. And that's the 10 houses on one street project. So if you follow our channels, you can have a look at that. We've got 10 houses on one street, all dilapidated. We're bringing them back into use. Basically, a 72 professional HMO rooms and 10 flats, and also a parcel of land which we'll put in planning permission for 13 extra units on that. So that's probably the one I'd say is the flagship at the moment. But you never know. We've got some bids in on some other projects at the moment, so maybe they will become the flagship. Who knows? But at the moment, I'd say it's that one. I think it's the Belgrave Road one.
So with the 10 houses in one street, is it all the relict houses or is it new build?
No, so they're already houses. They're just dilapidated at the moment. They're sort of part refurbed. They're all stripped out. We've got no, kitchens. We've got nothing in them really, to be honest. Most of the places. Some of them have got some wiring and some plasterboard, but not much more than that. So, we're bringing it back.
And 72 units there.
72 units. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of units in one street.
It is. Yeah, it is.
So let's go back to the beginning. What were you doing before you started Pivotal Point Group?
Yeah, sure. So my background it can be sort of summarized in 10-year chunks, if you like. So after school and college, it was in the Navy. So I joined the Royal Navy and spent 10 years in the Royal Navy, traveling the world, having fun, enjoying myself, serving country and all that. And that was fine. That was great. I had a really good time, really good career as well. And I got promoted fairly quickly. And it was only when my second child was on the way that we decided that was not, no longer for us. So when the second child came, we decided to leave the Navy, move house, and have a second child at the same sort of time. So just to add a little bit to the stress in terms of what was going on at that period of time. From there, moved into the corporate world and spent, again, another sort of 10 years building my way up in terms of corporate project management, IT, business change, business transformation, procurement, all those sorts of those things for some really big brands, some really big companies. And I learned a lot there, actually. Learned a lot about business acumen, about contracts, relationships, behaviors, sales, loads of things which were really, really useful. And it was only to say when I went on to that property event and we started talking about the different ways of constructing property deals, I realized it was just exactly the same as what I've been doing in the corporate world. It was just two parties, whether it's a seller and a buyer, maybe there's an agent in the middle, but a seller and a buyer coming to some sort of agreement, and then some paperwork happening, and then, transfer of ownership effectively. And when I realized that that's pretty much what property was, it's just I didn't have that education. That's when we're able to just go and solve that part of the problem, get the education, and just take the action. And that's pretty much what we were doing. We started with serviced accommodation and then built it from there. And Pivotal Point was our company, and then it became Pivotal Point Group. And we've got I think about 8 different companies under that group at the moment, doing various different functions. So yeah, that's where it started. That's what it was before PPG.
It's only what, 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a quick journey.
Yeah, well, it's just a process. It's just a process. You just follow the steps, and sure enough, put a bit of effort into it. It tends to just work out because it's just a process. So that's all we do.
Mm-hmm. What problems you are looking to solve in the housing industry?
So, the Belgrave Road's a prime example, actually, of what we're trying to achieve. So the area is predominantly student-lets, lower quality housing, HMO rooms, and they're all not of a good standard, but they're charging fairly decent rates. So the average in the area is something like maybe 475, 500 a room per month. And I know that we can do better than that. I know that we can provide better quality accommodation. So, these rooms that we're talking about, we're not talking about pokey little rooms that we'll be doing. These other ones are pokey little rooms. The pokey little rooms, single beds, £500 a month, and they're pretty dire. We're talking about, 22 square meter, en suites, lovely standard rooms for the same money. So we're hoping to, in some ways, disrupt that entire market and bring the area up, because we've got such a large portion of it that we can do that, and we know we can do it within the numbers. So we're hoping that will encourage others to refurbish their properties to a decent standard and give people quality living conditions. I mean, that's what we're ultimately about.
So you set the standard for this particular area of with the HMO quality.
Yeah, it's pretty rubbish.
What were the sources of your frustration during this process?
Oh, I think as an entrepreneur, you probably feel the same, Mark. And as entrepreneurs, we generally expect things to happen when we want them to happen because we've come up with the idea. Why is it now not happened? And when you're trying to do particularly larger and more complex deals, I mean that Belgrade Road, for example, has got a few different complexities in it in terms of different parties and investors, etc. Tends to be that you can come up with the idea, you come up with the concept, everyone will agree it, and then it just gets into the legal process. Now, we all know that solicitors have a job to do, and they protect us, and they have guidelines and rules and laws, etc., to follow. But it does seem to me that some of them take that to the nth degree, and actually, if anything, we're trying to shake up that residential industry and provide decent quality homes. I think someone needs to shake up that legal industry and just go, really? I don't think we need to worry about that. Let's just move on. But that's a whole nother topic. So I think my frustration generally, Mark, is in dealing with solicitors. So apologies to any solicitors out there. I know it's just the way that things are, but it is very, very frustrating when you're trying to achieve something to help a lot of other people, and then you bog down with some legal paperwork. So that's my biggest frustration.
Yeah,
and printing everything out and signing it. In COVID, can you go and get this witnessed? Well, no, we're all on lockdown.
Well, so, you've got online services for signing the documents now.
I know, and if only the solicitors knew that, right?
Yeah, that was.
Let's not get onto that. Let's not go into that.
Do you remember how you found our services first?
Yeah, so I first came across 3D Avenue where, rather randomly, Mark, and this is going to sound really weird, is I met your wife on a course that we were doing in terms of doing service accommodation. Mm-hmm. And it was only when we went out for dinner as a group, not just myself and JD. We just went out for a group and doing the networking, and JD told us what you did, and I was like, well, that sounds brilliant. That sounds like a really good service. And sure enough, that's why we use you guys, because you do provide a really good service. So that's where we came across those services, and I haven't been disappointed yet. So,
well, it's a good role for now. So yeah, what results have you seen working with us?
Yeah, so I mean, CGI's 3D visualizations. I think one of the things that we potentially as property investors don't understand necessarily is our buyers or our users. Now, we may be able to walk into a room and go, I can see here that there's going to be a bed over there, there's a big window there, they can put a desk there, that's where the bathroom will go. And ultimately, as a developer, that's one of the skills that we bring is, to visualize that space. But when you're trying to, have someone buy or rent an empty space, it's not there yet, it doesn't include that. It becomes really difficult for some people to visualize that. And that's why we stage our properties as well. So when people walk in, they can see that they can get a bed in there because there is actually a bed in there, and they can see that they can get a desk and a bed because there is a desk and a bed. So if you roll it back one stage further, before we've even got to that stage, having a 3D visualization or a CGI, which, I mean, what we do with ours is, you create them for us based on our design spec and the floor plans that we've got, and we basically make up some big hoarding boards, some big advertising boards that stick right outside the front of the site. We put the CGIs on there so people can see what it's going to be. Now, what that does is it creates a bit of a buzz, because we do that quite early on, and we'll have our contact details on there, we'll have all our branding on there, we'll have the estate agent if we're selling or renting on there as well, and we'll have an inquiry line or a phone number for them, and then we'll put a big sign that says come in soon. But what that allows people to do is to see it. Now, they know the location because they're clearly either walking past or driving past, or they're on a bus or whatever it is. They know the location, they can see the building, they can see the building site, they can see all the hoardings up there, and they can see what it's going to look like. Now, if they're in the area or in the market for a new property or want to move or a rental, if they can see that early, what it does is it creates a bit of a buzz, a bit of a demand surge. So they then ring up the agents say, yeah, it's not quite ready yet, but we'll take your details, put you on the list. And then we create a list of people who want to get into that property as soon as they can. So it gives everyone fair warning that we know we're going to open up the sales at a certain period of time, and then people can come and view the properties as soon as they're able to view them. So the CGIs really create a window into that building early on in the process, and that allows people to then see it, so decide if they want to look at it or not, and then as soon as they do want to look at it, they can come and view the show flats, and that really, really helps.
Are you able to quantify how 3D visualization helps on the project, or help on one of your projects?
Yeah, so we've had one recently. It's our Hales Road project, which is a care home conversion. So an old commercial care home, not needed. We've converted it into 12 lovely flats. So we did exactly the same as we talked about there. We had the board up there, we had the builder demand. And what that allowed the agents to do was, when we launched the first 2 flats, and again, we don't launch them all at once, we launched the first 2 flats, they were able to see what they'd look like based on the CGIs, ring up the agents and get invited on the, or get, added to the list. So on the sort of first day we opened up the sales, we had a viewing afternoon, all spaced out, all COVID compliant, etc. And we had 7 viewings booked in for that one flat based on those CGIs. And from that, we received 5 offers for the same flat, because that's the one that was for sale, that's the one they'd seen, that's the one they'd been driving past, looking at, loved the building, loved the CGIs, wanted to come and see the project, and as soon as they could see it. And because it was very similar in terms of what it looked like on the CGIs versus what it looked like in real life, a lot of people didn't realize that the pictures that we had on the front of those boards were actually 3D visualizations and CGIs, rather than actual pictures of the units. So the furniture that we put in terms of the staging, the kitchen designs, everything that we did when we built up those, or I said you built up those CGIs, was exactly the same as it was when people walked in. So it compounded that this is what it looks like. And from that, we had 5 offers, and as a result of that, we had to go to a best and final stage, which meant people were bidding and outbidding themselves to buy that flat. And in this one, it was about 11% above the asking price that we achieved on that flat, thanks to having those CGIs and building that demand early.
That's quite a big improvement on the price.
Yes, indeed. Considering as well, there's 11 other flats that they could have bought, and most of them are very similar, but they wanted that one. So that's the one they'd seen, that's the one they booked to see, that's the one they walked in, it looked exactly the same, that's the one they wanted.
What could have happened if you didn't manage to get the visuals on the hoarding and like you did?
Yeah, well, I suppose in some ways it's impossible to know really, but with the sites we've done before where we haven't done that, it's been slower to generate that demand. People don't necessarily know it's for sale. It's the same reason why estate agents and letting agents put boards outside the properties saying to let or for sale. Even though it's all online, there is still a massive, see it in the area, see the board, see it's for sale, see it's to let, that then drives people to the websites to then check it out. So if we hadn't have done that, I suspect some of the people who came to view and ended up bidding might not have known that unit was A, going to look like it did, but B, made the attempt to ring up the agents and book in a viewing. They'd have waited maybe until they were checking out on Rightmove or Zoopla or any of the online platforms to have a look to see when things were for sale. So having that visual presence and there's a reason why the big house builders do it, because they know it works. So why would we not, as smaller developers, do the same sort of things?
So do you like the results that we created and what we have on offer?
Yeah, I mean, the services that you provide, Mark, are brilliant. So I can give you that brief, you in the team, and I'll give you the floor plans and say it's going to look something like this. I can send you the photos of the previous units because all our specs are quite quite similar. And you're able to just pull that into some pictures from the angles that when you are stood watching those looking at those visualizations, you don't realize that actually they are visualizations rather than photos, because they do look so realistic. What I should probably do with this one is probably put a photo up of the visualization and a photo up of the real thing, and you can see how it actually looks. Maybe we'll look at doing that some other time. But yeah, the service is brilliant. Really easy to work with. We go through some of the revisions, and we can say things like, "Oh no, it's, the towel rail needs moving to the left a bit, or up a bit or down a bit," and then within 20 minutes in some cases. Not going to say that's your average turnaround time because I know you're very busy, but in some cases, in 20 minutes, we've got back, the end product, and it's brilliant. So yeah, really, really easy to work with.
So would you recommend others to work?
No, not at all. No, don't just stay with me. So you get to, no, absolutely. Anyone who's thinking about doing any sort of CGIs, now it doesn't have to be from development side of things either. Perhaps it's when you're trying to do rentals or lettings. Perhaps even if you're doing some service accommodation units and you haven't got it set up yet, give these guys a call. They'll turn around a running photo for you, put that on your website, put that on the platforms, and you can have people come and book it before it's even done, or book to view it. And absolutely 100%. Just do it. It's going to be money well spent, and you're going to thank me in the end.
Thank you, Dan. So what's coming up next in your business?
So yeah, so we've got that Belgrave Road one. So here's another example of how we're going to use the CGI visualizations for that. We will again have the hoarding up against the site, and it will say things like, new rooms coming soon, and we will have the visualizations done of those rooms with the furniture, with the decoration, the color schemes we're using. We'll have those on the front to then direct people to come and talk to the agent about, booking and viewing as soon as they're ready. So that's one that we've got coming up straight away. We've got a couple in the pipeline, I say, which we're bidding on, and we're hoping to hear back soon on some of those and some of the projects we're working on. But ultimately, it'll be the same again. We will, as soon as we get them over the line, we get the sites, we'll get the hoarding up, we'll get the CGIs done of the various units, whether it's to sell or to rent, so that people can start seeing what it is that we're doing, what it looks like. And then if they're interested, and that's the sort of thing that they like, that area and that sort of product, they can then get onto the agents. So we've got a few of those coming up, and no doubt, Mark will be on to you and the team very soon with our requirements for those two.
Yeah, I would be happy to speak with you about those projects.
Lovely.
What would be number one piece of advice for developers who are trying to improve their business or are just starting in the business?
So I think one of the things that I've learned over the last couple of years is, and in some ways, it doesn't matter what your business is. It doesn't matter if you're doing property development or if you're doing, as you do, Mark, doing the sort of 3D visualizations. A lot of it is around marketing. So it's about marketing your product, marketing yourself, marketing, the process, whatever it is, service, product, process, whatever, you need to market it. So if you're a developer and you're wanting to do more development, so you're wanting your current developments to be more successful, then it's about marketing. And one of the best ways to market pretty much anything is to have some sort of visual representation of it. Now, in the development space, when you're creating things, or the rental space, when you're creating things, if you don't have it to take a photo of, then the best thing to do is to get a visualization made up. So that will then become a part of your marketing. And it's a part of the marketing that says, look, here it is. You can even do part of the marketing that says, look, I've had some visualizations made up. What do you think? And then you can build a lot of marketing, a lot of content around those visualizations. So I think that's what I'd say would be that number one thing is look at your marketing and look how visualizing it in the mind of your client, who might not have the same sort of visualization techniques that you do, as in they might not be able to see that you can put a bed in that space or whatever. But yeah, get it visualized, get it knocked up, get a CGI or a 3D visualization made, and you can use that, and your customers can then see what it is that you're talking about.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well, because not all people can visualize something just looking at the drawings.
Yeah, well, you must get it all the time when you produce a CGI and it comes back to a client and they go, oh my gosh, that looks amazing, I didn't realize it was going to look like that, and they're the ones building it, right? You see it all the time.
Yeah, quite often. Yeah. Where can people find more about you and the Pivotal Point Group online?
Yeah, sure. So we've got a website. If the people wanted to, you can see the branding behind. It's a Pivotal Point Group. So it's www.pivotal-point-group.co.uk, and feel free to have a look at that. Or you can just find me on LinkedIn as well at Dan Eaton. So that's fine.
All right. Thank you, Dan, for a great interview, and bye, everyone.
No worries. Thanks very much, Mark. Thanks for having me, and see you all soon.